the legs done, essentially, in respect to the joints. We still have to do some controllers and so forth. Another thing we'd like to do is create something called the pull vector. And what that entails is when we move it, the knee will rotate out, and that helps with creating walk animations and jumps. So what I'm going to do is go to create and then NURBS primitive circle. I'm going to scale that down a little bit. And then holding V, I'm going to snap it to this knee. Now, let's go ahead and create a layer to put our mesh on. And so that way I can turn it on and off, and I can also lock it. See that? So this locks it, and then this makes it transparent. So, all right, and now when I hold V, you can see it'll snap to the center of that joint. So let's scale this down a bit more. Again, holding V here, snapped it to the center of that joint. Holding Shift, I can copy it. Holding V, I snap it again. Oh, come on. There we go. So what I want to do is when I select this guy and this, I'm going to freeze transform because you can see there's a lot of extra data there. So I'll just hold the spacebar down, go to modify, and go to freeze transformations, and that clears that out. Then I'm going to select that circle again, and I want to select the IK handle that we had originally created from the hip to the ankle. And let's change this to rigging, and then go to constraint and go to pull vector. And what you'll notice now is as I move this left and right, the knee turns out. And let's do the same thing to this side. And you could hit G, but I'm just going to do it again so you can see it. And so now when I move this out, let's actually hide this. You can see the joints go this way. So it looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and finish. Let's create the spine. So I'm going to go to my front view. And I want to build from the root out. So holding spacebar down, I'm going to go to skeleton and then create joints. Select that root joint. And then I want to create one somewhere around where the navel would be for the character. And then right where the bottom of the rib cage would be, right where my clavicles meet, and then the base of the neck. And I'm going to hit enter. And what that does is that locks it in place. And I'm going to go to my right view, take a look, and looks pretty good straight through the spine. On the mesh itself, what I probably would do later is this jacket's kind of really puffy, or like really puffed out in the back. I just grab these verts, hit B for soft select, just kind of pull them in, maybe rotate it a little bit out. Because I haven't even really started skinning anything yet or anything like that. So I tend to tweak, believe it or not, my model a fair amount before I mean, as I'm rigging stuff too. So you'll probably see me kind of do that a little bit. So go ahead and turn on symmetry here for X. And now when I select that, I can pull that a little bit better. The reason I do that is because the edge loops where they they should sit nicely and neatly with where the joint is. And a lot of times, like this model is not optimized at all. Like I would go in and sort of look for things like additional edge loops, like every other one that I don't really need, like that, and hit Control Backspace to get rid of it. But anyway, back to my model. And it goes for the same thing with adding geometry as well, right? Like you can add geo to what's needed. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and name this, coming off from the root, spine underscore 01, highlight that, and then just rename it to, and then this is actually the base of the neck. All right, let's go holding spacebar down, skeleton, create joints. I'm going to click on this one here, and I'm going to create my clavicle, which comes down at an angle like this. So that way I can get to more of the center of the arm. I usually just put one joint right here. I'm going to hold D down so I can just move that joint. I'm going to straighten that out. And then skeleton, create joints. And actually what might be helpful is notice that I have, see here's my Go ZBrush tab. This might be interesting too. If you click here and you go to new shelf, I can name it demargin. So if anybody else is using this computer or using my thing, they can see there's my demargin tab. And if I hold spacebar down, skeleton, and I know I'm going to be doing a lot of creating joints, with the spacebar held, if I hold Control and Shift and I select create joints, you'll notice it popped up here. So that's another quick way to um, be able to grab your create joint tool. So if I click there and then click on the wrist and hit enter, you'll see that locked in. Now what's interesting about this, let's kind of move that shoulder back, is watch what happens when I go to my top view to create the hand. So if I click here, select this so that it's highlighted, create my palm bone, as I start to create these joints out, let's take a look at where they're being created. Oh, actually, that looks pretty good. Normally, they would create on the floor, so that's kind of a nice. It's nice that that worked out that way. So because I don't want to move all of these back, I'm just going to hit D, just shift this back a little bit. Let's do the same thing. And then I want to create one where the knuckle goes and then one where the finger. I'm going to select this. Holding shift, I can just easily duplicate that and then stretch these out a little bit like that. Let's do the same thing here, and then one more for the pinky here. And then when I go to perspective mode, I just want to make sure that they are in the center. So let's go ahead and actually let's go to our front view and take a look at that. Yeah, so move this down, move this down, and then move this down so it's at the center of the thumb. Looks pretty good. These are actually not too bad. Maybe I would shift them up just a little bit so they're a little bit more centralized. Let's go ahead and name this. So this is the L underscore. I'm going to hit Control A and then Control C so that's all selected. Control A selects all, Control C copies. And I'm going to name this clav. And then with the up and down arrow keys, kind of a pro tip is if you push the down arrow, it'll go to the next joint. So I'm going to go in here and name this L underscore shoulder. Hit enter. Oh, looks like I did not. Let's try that again. And then down arrow, L underscore elbow. L underscore wrist. Palm. Now here, it's going to start off from this joint and then you'll see it's kind of, you'll have to kind of manually select the other one. So here's my thumb. So what I really do is I just do L underscore thumb, and then you could do base, whatever you want, knuckle. I just do one and then highlight that because the thing is I don't actually animate these joints. I use, we're going to be creating something called a controller. We're going to make a controller that will help us to point and create any pose we want with the hand so it makes animating easier. So this is our pointer finger. Middle. And I think what I'm going to do is, well, I guess I'll just finish it off. I was going to say I'm going to end the video here because all I'm going to do now is just go ahead and name all these, like double click this in the middle here, and then name it index, and then we'll do pinky. Actually, you know what we'll do is just going to quickly select the clavicle here, and then from here I'm going to go to skeleton and then just mirror those joints again from last time. And now you can see we've got the mirrored skeleton. Let's save that, and then yeah, from there looks pretty good.